over here in Keir Starmer's constituency right now, and Keir Starmer yesterday announced or called himself a socialist. What do you make of that?
I don't think so.
What is that? Did he define it? No.
Bit of a liar, isn't he, really? He's not actually saying who he is, because I've read Marx. So I know what it is. And a lot of people say they know what socialism is, I haven't got a bloody clue.
I would say, yeah, he's definitely a socialist. He's clearly someone who cares about public services and cares about workers.
It's just like, why? How are you self-identifying as a progressive socialist and then going back and U-turning on all these things?
I think Keir Starmer is trying to fit a lot of things all at once and trying to be what people want him to be, not necessarily what he proclaimed he was when he ran for the leadership.
Keir Starmer, is a bit of a centrist. Can I swear? Bit of a centrist wanker.
I think Keir Starmer is trying to play to all tenets of the Labour Party, and he's a sensible person. You know, he used to be head of the CPS. I don't believe that he's a progressive socialist at all, but I think he's dealing with the legacy of what happened with Corbyn. So a tactical decision, but not true ideological, I would say.
When he got in and he stiffed over Corbyn, I just went, right, I'm done with Labour, thank you very much. And I haven't been a party member since, in any party.
So I was having this conversation with a cab driver the other day, and he was saying that even though he didn't support Jeremy Corbyn, at least he knew what Jeremy Corbyn stood for. And it's I would actually agree with that. I wasn't a Corbyn supporter either, but you did know, what he's doing.
He's definitely seems like a better option to me than Rishi Sunak, but he doesn't really seem like much of an opposition. It doesn't really seem like he's that interested in actually being a left-wing politician, and he's kind of just more interested in it at the minute at being centrist and winning votes. I mean, I don't think you can dismiss a member of your party for going and supporting a rail strike and call yourself a progressive socialist. I just don't know that those two things work together.
It feels important for me to say that I'm Jewish, and I didn't feel like I had a home in the Labour Party when Jeremy Corbyn was up for election. I actually went to a Momentum rally and overheard virulent anti-Semitism. And something I've found really important about Keir Starmer is that he has in some ways stood up to anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. Not fully, there's quite a lot of things he hasn't done, but ideologically I do think that he is trying to get that angle of prejudice out of the Labour Party.
It's easy to say someone's not a socialist looking at what they have or haven't tweeted or what other MPs they're in support of, but ultimately, give him some time to actually get into office and do some socialist shit, and maybe he will, who knows.
Yes, he's, Labour, but is he kind of bordering in between, kind of leaning towards sort of the conservative sides, but kind of Labour by face, but actually his policies are a bit more catering to those on the other side?
A confused leader, the same as all the others. He'll go where the votes go. That's what he'll do, rather than stay steady and actually give the truth to the electorate. They all do that, they just swim.
So as a voter, what are the issues that matter to you?
The NHS is a really, really, really big one for me, and I'm also really interested as increasingly quite a lot of my friends are starting to have children, childcare provisions and nursery places, quite important.
Services working the way they're supposed to. The poor old NHS, getting that one up and running again.
Education. So I'm a teacher, so I'm a secondary school teacher, so things like provision, funding for schools, I think the most important thing to me. Yeah.
For me, housing, especially housing. So we need to actually get more people getting into houses, people that actually have lived here for a while, kids, and what's it called? Youth clubs, definitely.
Obviously pensions, looking after the British citizens. And British territories as well. As somebody who has come from a British territory, where citizenship is basically a title, but it's not the same privileges.
I think everything's sort of falling to pieces. The continuing conflict in Gaza is obviously a massive issue that everyone's talking about at the minute, and the fact that the UK government just seems to be perfectly happy, supporting an genocide is obviously not great, and it just feels like for the last 10 to 15 years maybe nothing really good has happened, and so I don't know, everything matters to me. Like, our economy seems like a mess. The fallout after Brexit and the pandemic is a nightmare.
Ultimately, if he can fulfill what he's saying that he will do, innovate services we use and start up GB Energy and all of that stuff, it'd be amazing. It'd be brilliant. And I think that would be progressive socialism in a way, definitely.
Some people think that like socialism is a bit of a dirty word, not something that would make you want to vote for someone. You obviously seem to disagree with that. Why is that? Because
I've read Marx. So I know what it is. And a lot of people say they know what socialism is, haven't got a bloody clue.
Definitely not. I think maybe that's like a very modern thing, but I think, my parents voted for Blair. It's a very modern way of I don't know. It's a very modern thing.
Historically speaking, we've discovered that going down that sort of more hardline left-wing route doesn't really work.
To me, socialism, obviously I feel like it's quite hard to bring down into one thing, but I guess it's like the people over the capital is kind of the basic way that I would put it. The basic way that I would think about socialism is that it's about thinking about, there's this, sorry to get really pretentious, but there's this W.H. Auden essay called The Poet and the City, and at the end of the essay he says something, and this is paraphrasing. He says something to the effect of, writers exist to remind managers of something that the managers have to be reminded of, is that the managed are not simply numbers, but people with lives and desires and dreams of their own. And to me, socialism should kind of be that. It's remembering that the people that you govern are people, and they deserve the right to live happily, and they should not have their lives determined by what is going to make a country look the best on a GDP standing, and what is going to make a country the most money. It's all very good to have a very good GDP, but if you have people starving and record numbers of people at food banks and NHS workers who can't feed themselves and their families, then what's the point? And so socialism to me is putting the people above the money at a base level.
As things currently stand at this point in the general election campaign, where do you feel yourself leaning towards?
Not just because Keir Starmer is my local MP, but definitely I think the Labour Party offer the best opportunity to the country being in a good place.
The Tory rule has to end, so it'll be anybody but Tory.
I watched his speech last night, and I'm two minds whether or not to vote for him or not. I haven't made my mind up yet.
But right now I don't know quite where I'm going to vote.
I'm probably with quite a lot of people. I'm going to vote for him just because he isn't the Tories. As for what he's going to do, well, I guess we'll just have to figure it out.